The email arrived late on a Thursday night. Subject line: Final notice, estate settlement. I almost deleted it. Almost. But something made me click. Maybe it was the sender's name, Harrison and Chin Estate Attorneys. Maybe it was exhaustion. Or maybe, after 32 years of being invisible, I was just curious what my grandmother had left for the family that forgot I existed. The message was brief. Dear Ms. Reina Castellanos, we regret to inform you that your grandmother, Elena Castellanos, passed away on October 3rd. As the named executor of her will, you are required to attend the reading on October 15th. Executor? Me. I was the family ghost, the one who moved across the country at 18 and never looked back, the one whose name they forgot at Christmas, the daughter my mother introduced as the stubborn one who lives somewhere out west. And now I was the executor. Before I tell you what happened in that room, you need to understand the architecture of my family. At the top was my grandmother Elena, the matriarch, brilliant, cold, calculating. She built a textile empire from a single sewing machine in her garage. Below her was my mother, Carmen, the perfectionist who measured love in achievement and disappointment and everything else. Then there was my sister Valeria, golden, wealthy, adored, married to money, with 3 children she paraded like trophies. And my brother Diego, the entrepreneur, the visionary, the one who borrowed $200,000 from grandmother's business account for a can't-miss opportunity. The money vanished. The opportunity missed. And finally there was me, Reina, the dropout, the disappointment, the girl who chose art school over law school, the one who painted murals for community centers instead of climbing corporate ladders, the one who mattered least. I hadn't been invited to a family event in 7 years. The law office was all glass and marble. I wore my only suit, the one I kept for gallery openings that never came. They arrived exactly on time, a synchronized display of curated wealth. My mother saw me first. Surprise, recalibration, then the mask of cold politeness. Reina. I didn't know you were coming. I was invited, I said. I'm the executor. Valeria laughed, actually laughed. You? Executor? Must be a typo. Diego ignored me entirely, too busy interrogating the receptionist about assets. Then Miss Chin appeared. The Castellanos family? Please come in. The conference room was cold. We sat at one end of a table that could seat 20. Miss Chin placed a sealed envelope in front of me. Elena left instructions. Reina must read this aloud before the will. My mother stiffened. Valeria's smile cracked. Diego leaned back, arms crossed. I opened the envelope. My grandmother's handwriting, sharp, precise. To my family. I am dead. You want to know what I left you? That is expected. That is human. That is also why I structured my will the way I did. For 30 years I watched you compete. I watched you take. I watched you forget that family is not a transaction. Reina, if you are reading this, it means you came. That alone makes you different. What I am about to give you is not a gift. It is a test. You may choose to pass it to them, or you may choose to teach them what I could not. The choice, my invisible granddaughter, is yours. Silence swallowed the room. Miss Chin cleared her throat and began reading the will. The estate of Elena Castellanos is valued at approximately $4.2 million. Diego sat up straighter. Valeria's eyes widened. My mother's face was unreadable. Elena bequeaths her entire estate to her granddaughter, Reina, with one condition. Within 30 days, Reina may distribute the assets equally among all family members. Or she may keep the entire inheritance, if she can present documented evidence that at least one family member attempted to reconcile with her, without knowledge of this will, within the last 5 years. The room erupted. This is insane. Diego shouted. Manipulation. Carmen snapped. So you're just going to take everything? Valeria shrieked. I looked at them. I abandoned you? Miss Chin raised her hand. The will is ironclad. My mother demanded, what counts as an attempt? A phone call, Miss Chin answered. A letter. A visit. Anything personal, not transactional. Silence. Heavy, damning silence. Then came the calls. Diego first. We should talk, Reina. Then Valeria. The kids miss you. Then my mother. We need to discuss this situation like adults. All of them motivated by money. I didn't answer. Instead, I pulled out a box from my closet, labeled family. Birthday cards I'd sent that were ignored. Christmas gifts never acknowledged. Emails about my first gallery show never opened. A text from when I was in the hospital. Surgery tomorrow, scared. Seen by 47 people, replied to by none. And at the bottom of the box, a letter I'd written to my grandmother 3 years ago but never sent. I'd apologized for disappointing her, invited her to a small art show, told her I missed her. The next morning I went to my grandmother's house. It was immaculate, cold. But her private study was different. Warm. Personal. And the walls were covered in photos of my art. Every mural. Every gallery show. Every article. She'd saved everything. On the desk was my letter. Opened. Next to it was her response, written 2 weeks before she died. She had attended my show secretly, watched me teach children, seen a courage in me she never had. She wrote that I was never invisible to her. And she gave me permission to choose my own future. For the next 3 weeks my family became desperate. Diego brought flowers and business proposals. Valeria invited me to parties. My mother wrote a 5-page letter about heritage and duty, never once apologizing. I documented all of it. But I also hired a private investigator. I had questions about my grandmother's accident 5 years earlier. The investigator found hospital records, security footage, and a fired housekeeper who'd signed an NDA. My grandmother hadn't fallen, she'd been pushed. By Diego. After confronting him about the stolen money, my mother had paid the housekeeper $50,000 to stay silent. On the 30th day I gathered them at my grandmother's house. Miss Chin sat beside me. I showed them the footage, the hospital records, the affidavit. Diego turned pale. My mother stood up, stuttering excuses. Miss Chin informed them she had already forwarded the evidence to the district attorney. Silence filled the room like smoke. I took a breath. I'm keeping the inheritance, I said. Not one of you tried to reconcile with me. You only wanted the money. Then I laid out the truth. You pushed an 82-year-old woman down the stairs and left her to suffer. Diego begged. Carmen whispered excuses. I ignored them. The estate is mine, I said, but I'm not keeping all of it. They looked hopeful for a moment. 1 million will establish the Elena Castellanos Foundation for Community Arts. 500,000 will go to the housekeeper you silenced. 200,000 will cover legal fees for Diego's prosecution. The house will be sold and donated to the foundation. What's left, about 2.5 million, is mine. I earned it. Diego was arrested 3 days later. Carmen avoided charges but resigned from all her social boards. Valeria's husband divorced her within a month. I didn't attend the trials. I was busy building something new. 6 months later, the Elena Castellanos Foundation opened its doors. 200 children came on the first day. Kids who were told art wasn't practical. Kids who were ignored. Kids who were invisible. I gave them exactly what my grandmother gave me, permission to create. I didn't forgive my family. Some things are unforgivable. Said I forgot them. 3 years later I stood in my studio, my own studio in my own building, painting a mural called The Invisible Ones. My phone rang. Ms. Castellanos? This is the MacArthur Foundation. We'd like to discuss your community arts program. You're being considered for a fellowship. A genius grant. For the family disappointment. On the wall beside me hangs my grandmother's letter. Next to it I've written my own words in paint. To everyone who was ever told they weren't enough. You were always enough. You were just in the wrong room. The inheritance was never the money. It was permission. The permission to stop shrinking to fit people who chose not to see me. And if you're listening to this right now, this is your permission too. You don't owe them silence. You don't owe them loyalty. You don't owe them forgiveness. You owe yourself truth. Sometimes the most powerful revenge is refusing to carry their weight anymore. Close the door. Walk away. Build something beautiful. They'll call it selfish. Let them. You'll call it survival. And you'll be right.